who's kind of been championing my efforts. She said, Rod, it's hard for you to come speak to these kids, but they will buy your books without even blinking. And so she said, you either need to raise your price on your books, or you need to write more books. So now I'm in the process of writing mental health books for children between 8 and 14. So now it's talking about how counseling is okay, as one of the titles of the book, like, teaching the kids to see, especially in the Black and Hispanic community, they don't believe in therapy as a culture. So I'll be able to try to kind of change that perception from an 8-year-old mind and go from there. Because mental health is really hot right now in the school districts based on the Douglas Stoneman Act down in Broward County.
Yeah. Oh, so cool. So you sold $10,000 worth of books, and so you're speaking for free. I love that. So who's next on your list? Who are you going to with the next proposal?
Okay, so I've been so focused on the school board, I tell you, because they keep coming back and having me do some adjustments because I still have the $80,000 proposal as well. So what I'm doing is I'm going after more school districts now in a different way. So what I want to do is teach youth, like youth ambassadors. I'm actually calling them the SWAT team. So a student wellness advisory team, and I'm going to train them on how to help others who may be going through an emotional wellness situation. They'll be able to identify it very quick, because right now with all the mental health things going on in the schools, the teachers and the staff just can't do it. So we need to get the kids trained on how to help each other and help themselves.
Yeah, amazing. If you haven't already, Sean Woodley either is graduating today or is going to graduate early next week. You should connect with him. He works in school boards, sounds like similar kind of areas, and with the teachers, not so much the kids. So yeah, I mean, it'd just be a good connection for you. If
Okay.
He's in the Facebook group, you can find him in the Facebook group now or in the Momentum one when you graduate. So
Okay.
Cool. Thank you for sharing, Rod. That's a massive win. Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm energized. It's just, money energizes you for some reason. I don't know why, but.
Oh yeah, that thing. Who else has something they want to share today? Wins, celebrations? Yeah, John.
So I'm at this NSA meeting, and it's interesting just to see where my mindset has gotten to based on where they're at. Like, they're still talking about $500 and $1,000 fees without actually mentioning the dollar. Like, I charge this much for this and this much for this, and then I have this escalating price scale. I'm like, that's not where I'm at anymore. And just interesting to see the mindset shift that's taking place for me. And I keep going, well, you could do that, or you might want to consider that, or I've learned this. So the things I've learned from just being in the program this far have put me in not a better place than they are, but a different place than they are. And that feels good to see where that shift is taking place and where I'm going to from here.
Cool. Amazing. So can you be specific? Is there something in particular that feels like really tangible that's different for you?
Yeah, for one thing, the fee structure. Not looking at going up the ladder from 500 to 1,000 to 1,500 to maybe I'll be glad to do it for 500. The fee structure is this. Like, I am at this level. I never quoted that fee to anybody yet, but I keep practicing salt, pepper, my fee is. And that one in particular, and I shared with them what we've talked about here about the association marketing, look for the executive board, and all of those people on the executive board are people that are a double bonus. So I tried to share a couple things that I've learned here too, because they've got their thumb on me to be one of the deans of the Speaker Academy, which I think is okay. But I'm wanting to add value to what I'm hearing them talk about based on what I've learned in this program.
Phenomenal. Two things: fee structure or value. Love it, John. Thank you. Thanks for bringing that home.
So, and I am going to go join that meeting again, but I wanted to let you know what I'm learning from this program, because it all of a sudden went, there's value in what I'm doing here, and I just wanted to share that here.
Cool. Thank you, John. Well, have a great day.
Okay, see ya.
Anyone else would like to share? Something, wins, celebrations? Yeah, Steve, I saw that in the chat. Awesome.
Yeah, so one of the strategies I've been trying to do is go with open enrollment webinars as a lead generation. So we did the first one yesterday, and I had some issues with ActiveCampaign, so they actually locked me down. So the only marketing I could do was social media. Did a bunch of LinkedIn and Facebook and a little Twitter. And we had 50 folks register. 26 actually showed up. I did look at the stats. They all stayed except for 2, and they had technical problems. So that was pretty cool. But the coolest part was 3 very solid leads, one for a keynote in the summer, one with a cruise line. So I don't know exactly what they have in mind for that. And then an employee resource group as well. So some good things to do.
Yeah, congratulations. We don't really teach webinars as part of the course, so I'm really thrilled to hear that you got some leads that way. Can you tell us just a little bit about what the webinar was like positioned? What was it?
Yeah, so it's actually it's the keynote that I typically do, or I'm trying to do, and it's being a consciously inclusive leader. And so it's a broad topic. It's actually from chapter 2 of my book. So there's the book tie-in that way. And then what I've been doing is marketing it toward members of the LGBTQ+ community as a way to niche it. And as we're looking at all the marketing statistics, and I am working with a funnel building company for this, the response rate and numbers are really, really high, because it's niched and it's being targeted toward a very, very specific community. So it works out well. And obviously the message is not just unique to any certain demographic, it's pretty broad. So the idea behind the webinar is I can very quickly turn it into open enrollment for everybody. It doesn't matter, and it's still the exact same conversation.
Cool. And so just to clarify, were you selling your course or your program, or you were pitching like consults?
At the end, I did have a slide that pitches my 6-month online training program. Also, brings the book up. And then at the very beginning, when people were logging in, I had like a 7-slide PowerPoint that was auto advancing, which is basically like the movie reel that you see. And it had things like the book in there. And I had things like, oh, this is how you work Zoom if you've never used it before. So it was instructional, but then it was also marketing. And I just had that on a self-feeding loop, and it started like 15 minutes before the class started.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I actually haven't heard of that strategy before. That's a good one.
Awesome.
That's a great one. Cool.
I'm gonna just highlight a couple quickie things for everybody from Dr. Steve. Way to go. Number one, did you notice he said something there, and I'm paraphrasing Steve, and it's really niched, it's really specific. And so it made it easy to blank, blank, blank. I don't even remember what you said, but my ears perked up when you were kind of saying, because it's so specific. Number two, I love that you knew your numbers. 50 people registered, 26 showed up, 23 stayed. It's so important to track your numbers, because those are kind of, you get to a point where you can really count on your numbers and you can project your revenues based on your numbers. And then the last part, just, and Stephanie brought this up, well, we don't teach webinars. Webinars can basically just be your talk done over the web. And it's not any more work, and you get to do it from the comfort of your home. And oftentimes your statistics, I teach 6 to 7% of your audience can become a client. Those numbers run true for webinars as well. And so everything you just shared, Steve, was like a little microcosm of a perfect model.
Thank you. And just to kind of put it out there, what I'm doing as a marketing strategy, as I'm having my conversations with folks, is after I kind of open up the chat, I offer them to do one of my webinars for their internal group for free, with the idea that obviously it's 45 minutes out of my time, the content's already done, I don't have to travel anywhere, but that's just 20 extra people that I can try to seduce to the dark side, if you will.
Yep, and now you've got a product. You can use that as a product, as a giveaway for the future. And like you said, it's hardly any work, and you can do it for free, or you can charge a fee if you want, you guys, but you don't have to in this case. And you use it as a value add and a marketing strategy to get business. Well done.
Awesome job. I know we're missing a few people today because they're off getting their video recorded at the Video Summit. So if you guys haven't heard of that, it's just speakervideosummit.com. We can get your speaker reel all done for you. But also welcome David and welcome Lindy to our calls. So we always start our calls with wins and celebrations. So please feel free to chime in. Then we're going to move on to our questions. So really the most value out of this is if you submit a question, we will answer it for you. So yeah, you can submit questions every week if you want. This is your time to get your questions answered. To do that, you just go to spfquestion.com and you can submit your question ahead of time there. And I think we only have one. Well, Rob, where is he? Yeah, Rob has 2 questions today, so that's good. So we'll get to those questions. And as an exception, if you guys have a question, just type it in the chat today, and we'll get to that. Okay. So let's find Rob's question.
We're going to, being that your question, Rob, is it's detailed and multifaceted, we're gonna tag team it. Not that we always tag team anyway, but Rob, Stephanie, is it okay to ask Rob just to kind of verbalize? You did that so great.
Sure.
Just kind of bottom line your question for us.
Absolutely, Michael. When I did the competitor profiles, something I found interesting. I thought they would be speaking to small business. That's where I want to speak. But instead, they're small business experts that tell large companies, Fortune 1000s, how to connect with small businesses. Am I positioning myself incorrectly?
Well, my first answer to that is we wouldn't want you to assume you're positioning yourself incorrectly because of what you're finding other people are doing. So you mentioned they're small business experts connecting with the big companies. Say it again as to what their focus is.
When you look at their client list, they're all Fortune 1000 companies, and they refer, and this is almost a direct quote from 2 of them, I help big companies contact little companies.
But that's not what you do, right, Rob? Like,
no, but these were all under small business experts. None of them seem to serve small business. They just seem to be experts on helping large businesses market to small businesses.
But so like Stephanie was keying in on, is that what you want to do? Is that what your focus and passion is?
No, it's not, Michael, but I'm asking because it's kind of silly for me to run down a road where there's no market.
Okay, so to be clear, just to kind of preface, are you saying that because you found that these small business owners are marketing themselves to Fortune 1000 companies as experts in helping Fortune 1000 companies connect with small businesses, that's not what you want to do, but it's making you wonder if the focus that you have might not be a good focus. Is that it?
That's perfect, Michael, and I'll get better at asking questions.
No.
Complex and multifaceted.
No, and you're not. It's not bad at all, Rob. But In fact, I think it's great. I think these questions are phenomenal. We just want to make sure we're serving exactly what you want. So don't change. The short answer is no. Don't change what you want to do and what your expertise is. The fact that you have found these small businesses doing it this way does not at all indicate that what you want to do is faulty or will not be as productive or lucrative. It's simply what you have found so far. And I'm speaking to Rob and all of you. To the extent you can learn something, it's great. And what you might learn from it might be, this is something I might want to look at. Or you might learn, wow, that's cool that these people are doing it. Not my focus. Wow, maybe there's that much more opportunity for what I want to focus on. I'll pause there, but if that's the core of the first part of your question, no, it does not mean that what you want to do is faulty at all.
We're good. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
So just also usually it sometimes is just a search term. So if you're searching small business experts, I don't exactly remember what the search term was, but if you're searching small business experts, it could just be that the search term you think should show up the right thing isn't showing up the right thing, right? So it's not that your what you do doesn't exist and that there aren't any competitors. It could be true, probably isn't true. It just, I would play around with some search terms there.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Okay, I know there's a second piece.
Looks like the second part is, other than visiting the obvious associations, in my case, manufacturing, like the PIA, what other good methods to identify potential association clients? Is that the second part?
It is. There are 2,000 new associations every year.
Yep.
Other than sitting in a library and going through a multi-page book, any other choices?
Yeah, and I'll let Stephanie address this. She's good at knowing the software to find these.
Oh, it's funny. I was going to let you address this. Okay.
Oh,
So
I mean, I can
okay.
address it the rudimentary way, but why don't you do what David teaches with is it the pipe drive or what?
The Intel Engine.
Intel Engine.
Yeah, and I think if I remember what your second question was, this actually might tie into that too. So, so first of all, we definitely want you to do your research. So we're not just going through a list and contacting 1,000 associations and seeing who bites, right? You do want to find the associations that are really honed to exactly the kind of audience. So Google will be probably a reasonable friend for you. So if you want to look up like top 10 dental associations, you'll get some good lists of that, and that kind of curates it for you. You personally might want to narrow it down in other ways, like geographically or size, or there's lots of ways you could narrow it down in a search that's harder in a library book, right? So the tool that we recommend for this, I'll get Morgan to pop it in the chat, but it's called the Intel Engine. And all it is a Google search, but with a really robust front end of key terms and things. Like, it eliminates all the junk, which I think is partly, if I remember correctly, your second question, which was, which I don't think is here yet, but maybe it is. Standard Google searches, small business speaker, that sort of thing. You'll find when you use the Intel Engine, it's just so much more sophisticated that you'll be able to get the search terms you need. And Morgan, if you can post the how-to video, that would also be awesome. So you'll see in the chat there. So that's one, I don't know, Michael, if that's what you were thinking. It's just, we have a really good search function for that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. By the way, somebody has some banging in their room. If that's you, if you could put yourself on mute. Yeah, that was the Intel Engine, Stephanie. Forgive me, I couldn't recall the name of it. Can I just do a quick share of a Google search I did just now? So this is for Rob and for everybody. Just while Stephanie was sharing about the Intel engine, I did a Google search, and maybe you've done this already, Rob, but I just love the simplicity of this, you guys. So I simply typed in Manufacturing Associations USA, and we have right here the AME, whatever that is, we could look it up, is doing a conference. And look at this, the Alliance for American Manufacturing, the Association of Manufacturing Excellence, the Association of Manufacturing Technology, on and on and on. I mean, this is a gold mine. Here's another list, Making It California. So these must be manufacturings in California, all listed out. Listing of manufacturing associations and industry associations. So you can just start clicking on any one of these, looking them up, and doing what the modules teach. And so, is this helpful, Rob, for you? And then for all of you, similarly, the more kind of what we were saying earlier, the more focused you are, the easier it makes to do a Google search like this.
Thank you very much.
Had you done this, Rob, yet?
Yes, sir, I have.
And had you found this as well?
I have. It's really helpful. I just wanted to make sure, hey, I figure if we're paying the membership, we'll ask the experts.
Yeah, way to go. I'm so glad you've already done it. I mean, from that little bit right there, that looked like a gold mine. Did you get that feeling too? Like that could be your whole business. I mean, for you guys to just really grasp this, those of you that are newer, Rob, in this case, could literally spend the rest of his career speaking, serving, coaching, consulting to the manufacturing market. That's it. Doesn't have to, but he could. That one area, because all those association talks will lead to other opportunities, and it just continues right down the line. It's pretty remarkable when you really get going and diving deep into the association market.
So I was just thinking, Rob, you have clients already. Are they in the manufacturing space?
Probably about 40% of my clients are manufacturing.
Yeah. So one thing you could do, since you already have those contacts, you could even ask them what associations they belong to. Get an introduction, since you've already worked with them and they already love you, get an introduction to the decision makers at those associations. And then I would just start there and see what, they're probably members of multiple associations. Each client will have some associations they're involved in, and you can get a few introductions, speak at one chapter, get spread out to the other chapters. That would be definitely one way to go. And the second thing I was going to say is those lists can be really daunting. That's also where you could have an assistant eventually, you could have an assistant really doing a lot of that back end research for you and finding the details, the contact names and all of that stuff. So just two kind of avenues when it comes to associations. I love it when you guys already have clients. It makes things just snowballs. It's so cool. Okay, I hope that answered the second half of your question as well. Although you were asking about the fee structure, was there a nuance to the second question, Rob?
The question, I'll try to make it simpler.
Sure.
When we look for small business speakers, first 3 pages were 95% bureaus. Bureaus don't let many speakers in until they're around 10K. I'm 5K, bad comparison. I tried to cut out bureaus by using the minus sign, standard Boolean search. Didn't work. Maybe Mr. Richter's product is my solution. Just didn't know if you had any ninja skills in Boolean search.
Not in the search function specifically, but this is, sorry, was this for your competitive scan? Is this what you were wondering?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
Okay. So Michael, is it, there would be people on different bureaus for under 10K, wouldn't they?
Not a lot.
No, okay.
Yeah, Rob's right. You know, the bureaus make their money charging typically a 30% fee, so they're only wanting the higher level speakers. But I don't know, Rob. I don't know that I would. I don't know that you need to find the 5K speakers for your competitive scan. I think.
Good point.
Would you agree, Steph? The ones he's finding on those are quite sufficient enough for this exercise. It doesn't need to be that micro.
Yeah, you'll see that 10K once you kind of get through the course. You'll see that 10K is pretty close to 5K when we start talking about sales strategies and positioning yourself and all of that. So yeah, it's a good point, Michael. I didn't think of that.
At the very least, it might help you feel confident and excited to get to that 10K sooner than you may have. You could be reading their profile saying, I could be doing this. Why am I only charging 5K? But you're not going to find, like you had said here, might it be a poor comparison? No, not a poor comparison.
Thank you again.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I'm going to go to Carla's question. I've got a presentation that I agreed to do before signing up for this program. I'm wondering how you develop a presentation title. A good question. Easy. I mean, one thing that some people in this course have done is they kind of come up with a couple of ideas and bring them to this call and actually just ask people what they think of them. That's one strategy. You can do that in the Facebook group too.
Okay, well, I've already got a couple, so.
Yeah, perfect.
One is why every business needs a second act. Why every CEO needs a second act for their business. Why slow growth is your enemy. If your business doesn't have a second act, you're dead. What's your second act? Why every business needs to recognize the future before you're out of business. And then going out of business, the second act is a must. So just trying to come up with a bunch of them, and so I'm wondering what people think.
Okay, super good. So here are some of the filters that I use. So actually your structure of how you're structuring them, it's very value driven, results driven. So that's good. Mm-hmm. One filter that I would think possibly for you is the words. You want to think about words that your clients are actually using. Okay. So if you've done some interviews and clients are saying the word second act a lot, mm-hmm. then sure. My guess is that they're not saying that.
I would agree. I'm just struggling with that. So I've got to go do the work to figure that out. It's just that I need to title in by tomorrow. So I need to.
Sure. Well, there was one there that sounded really compelling that didn't have the word second act in it. I think it was like the third one you said.
Why slow growth is your enemy?
Yeah, well, something like that. So, so play around with that, and please, you guys, if you guys have some suggestions or thoughts on this, that would be awesome. Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I would say is I wouldn't put in there, and this is my own opinion, stuff about like death and dying. Okay. I think that's like a downer. You know, I think your title, you want to be more upbeat, or just my opinion.
No. I would agree, because what I'm realizing is some people. So basically, what I do is help companies grow. Some companies are in, a growth stall. Other companies are growing, but they realize that they need to continue growing. They need something else to grow because they've got growth objectives to help them scale. So I like your point about keeping it positive, because it'll appeal to both parties. But, the one that's stalling will feel positive that this is a turnaround. The other person will feel like, well, I can keep it going. So good point.
Who's your audience first, Carla? Then we'll check with Dave and Rob, or David and Rob.
It's medium-sized companies in the 10 to 50 million space.
That's who the group is that you're speaking to?
Oh, this is a government contractor. It's a women's leadership group. So it's a mix of government contractors, CEOs of businesses, as well as consulting firms.
Okay. So I will say, just we're doing this because you have it tomorrow.
No.
But when you work with Sarah on your one sheet and your Y hire document, she definitely helps you with talk titles as well.
Okay.
Okay, David, what were you going to say then, Rob, and then
Yeah, I've
we'll
heard
wrap
when
it
it
up.
comes to writing titles for blog posts or articles to have numbers, 5 tips to, 5 ways to, 8 ways to benefit. Having a number in there seems to be something that attracts attention.
Okay.
Yeah, Rob.
I mean, I'm thinking, you know, something like your company's been walking, now it's time to run.
Ooh.
Rob, what were you going to say?
Carla, I was going to go very modern because I didn't know the demographics of your group. But I would thought something along the line of level up your company in 2020.
Okay.
Yeah, so Carla, you're looking for outcome-based statements, like what this is going to do for them, what the benefit is for them. Sometimes you can like add in the problem, like so, stagnation or whatever it is that their problem. Always just go back to the words that they're using and try not to be too clever. Like you want to make sure that they totally get it without questioning it. Is that helpful? Does that give you some ideas?
Yeah, and I may throw some more out on the Facebook group.
Cool.
I just have a quickie. Is your premise that slow growth is not the way to go? Is that it in a nutshell?
Oh, that's an alarm bell. That's an alarm bell. That if you don't start fixing that, you could be out of business.
So I just to throw in, I came up with something like your core title is called The Growth Myth, something like that, and then a subtitle with how the premise of slow and steady will actually kill your business or something like that. Kind of catchy and I don't know.
Use kill.
Yeah, again, Ari's point about kill may not be the way to go. How slow and steady will not win the race in the case of your business or something. Just a thought.
Okay.
Yeah, and so bring these ideas to Sarah when you work with her on your one sheet, but hopefully this gives you something reasonable for tomorrow.
Exactly, it does.
Good.
Thank you.
Good.
All right, Ari's question. In my upcoming gig in Dallas, the recommendation was to put out index cards on everybody's chair, asking them to fill out their name, company name, email, and phone number. Then make tick boxes for keynote speech, workshop coaching, consulting, etc. So basically a card inviting people to check off what they might be interested in the future. Has anybody done this? Who did you use to print these cards and what were the responses? So has anybody done something like this, and or what might you recommend for Ari? Steve, I know you have, not to put you on the spot, I know you have a lot of experience. Have you ever done something like this to capture people's emails and interest?
I have done it digitally in the past where I've set up, if y'all are familiar with what a Bitly is just a really short little, it's a shortcut that can take you to wherever you want to go from a web link. Bitly's free, bit.ly. I've used Bitly and I'd have it on my slides and I'd make reference to it. But I've not done physical things. I think that while your response rate might be good, I think that they could get really cumbersome for folks.
I know, Ari, when we talked yesterday, your immediate reaction was opposed to the electronic version. I would invite you to consider that. I think you'll have a better response rate, kind of validating what Steve said.
Interesting. I just, when I look at it, and I'm talking to the audience and whatever, to put up a slide that basically says, click here, click on this URL to go to whatever. I don't know how many people are actually going to do that. I think
so. One thing that I do whenever I do any presentation is I have like some sort of handout, and it's usually digital if I can do it that way. I don't have to pay for it. And I have it up the front, and kind of give it to those folks. And then at the end of my conversation or the speech or whatever, I say, hey, you had the handout. It kind of is for taking notes. I have a completed version of it available where I've written in all the notes in case you missed something. If you want that, go ahead and make sure I get your business card or drop it off or whatever. So then I gather the business cards, and then I either might send them a message saying, do you want to be part of my list?
Right.
And if so, here's some information on, how can I best help you? Keynote, training, whatever. But the idea is you give them something. And in this case, I'm giving them the same handout I already created, but now it has the notes already written in, and people find value in that.
Yeah, give them value.
One of the things that I've done in the past, sometimes it works better than others, is to tell people, if they put their business card in a jar, I'm raffling off, 2, 3, 4, 5 of my books. People always like to get something for nothing. So, I've done that in the past. But I'm just trying to figure out in my mind, how it would work to what the best method really is to gather. I mean, at the end of the day, we're gathering information. That's what it boils down to.
So you have to really think about this strategically, because you could just collect everyone's information and then market your book or whatever to them, right? Like, that's fine. But I suspect you're looking for strategic ways to get people to book more speaking with you, training, etc.
Absolutely.
So in which case we don't need volume. We don't need every person in the room to raise their hand. We want to be really clear about the reason that they would engage with you. So I actually wouldn't even, the tick boxes that you're talking about of like keynote, workshop, training, like, people don't, this is why we have conversations with them, right? Because they don't really know what they need, and they don't know the solution that's going to best solve their problem. Or sometimes maybe they do. In your case, Ari, like it's a commencement speech or a whatever it is. But if you are going to do something like that, I love what Steve is saying about like, give them something, get their info, and then follow up with them. The thing you want to think about is like, do you have this need? Then we can talk. So for example, even phrasing like, I'm going to get your problem wrong. Like, anyways, just need a compelling and inspirational speaker for your next talk. Not what you should say, but let's just say that's what it is. Mm-hmm. Is this an urgent problem? Like, would you like me to contact you? Like that's what it is. And then you can contact them. You just want to get them on the phone. Michael talks a lot about like at the end of your presentation, like, hey, let's get on the phone and see how I can help you. It's simple as that, right? Because the ones who just loved your talk, you've had this happen before where they've been in the room, they really loved what they heard and they want to hire you like pretty urgently. So to me, it's not volume. It doesn't matter how many tick boxes they say. It's like having the right people raise their hand.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, there's kind of different approaches, I guess, but yeah, Rod?
Has anyone ever used the text where you text a number or you text hello to 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they actually have pretty much opted in to your text system, and then they get, maybe you'll send 2 texts a month just of your information or some leave behinds that way?
Yeah, and usually it's a text to this number, and then the reply is send me your email address and I'll email you the thing I promised. So that would be, I think, a way that it works for Steve, like he's like with the worksheet thing. Just instead of dropping their business card off, they could literally say, okay, take out your phone right now. Everyone takes their phone out, like text this number right now. That definitely works. Mm-hmm.
Can I just jump in on that? Something you said, Ari. I really want you guys to get a lot of this. I know it sounds simple, but it's how you do it as much to what you're doing. So For example, like I want you guys to picture Ari. You're on stage. You don't say like, hey, if you're interested, get your phone out, or it's okay, everybody, do me a favor. Everybody grab your cell phone. It's like literally one step at a time. And God bless people, they'll do what you ask them to do. So I want everybody to take out your cell phone. Okay, everybody got your cell phone, hold it up. And I'm highlighting it just to make a point. Okay, what I want you to do is I want you to click on this link. I'm putting it up on the screen. Click on that link right now, and you'll see there's three things I want you to do. Number one, I would love to continue to, and I'm kind of just role playing real quick right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would love to continue to serve you far beyond this talk. And so I would love you to be on my distribution list. And every Friday, you're going to get a really cool 3-minute video from me on how to be a better leader. And so if you'd like that, just check box number 1. Number 2, as you can see, I'm incredibly passionate about speaking. I would love to come to all your chapters, all your clubs, and speak to anybody who wants to bring me in. If that's of any interest to you, go ahead and click box number 2. Thank you very much. And go ahead and give you another couple seconds. Okay, pop your phones away. And now we're going to head into the final part of my presentation. And when you set it up like that and guide them through it and be authentic and honest with what you want them to do and why, you're not hiding anything. Here's something free. So not that that's not a bad idea, but even if you give something free, you want to tell them why you're doing it, because I want you to be on my list, because I want to continue to serve you. People love and appreciate the authenticity. And if they connect with you during that talk for the previous hour of your talk, they will do exactly what you ask them to do. Not every one of them, but about 70% of the people in the audience. That's pretty remarkable what you then now have leaving that talk. Emails and interest. It's remarkable. I just wanted to make sure you guys fully grasp that, because you're leaving so much money on the table if you're not speaking this way and being directive with your audience members. Okay, I'll shut up. Lindy.
That's good. Yeah, Lindy.
I want to add to that one more option to what Michael said. Give them the opportunity to share with you one thing they've learned from what you just presented and the promise they've made to themselves to change as they go forward. And then you have the opportunity, and then they can say, yes, I want you to follow up on me with this. Now you know what their pain point is, and they've given you permission to contact them later to see where they are in this transition. And you have the natural ability to say, would you like me to help you with that? I can help you X, Y, Z.
Phenomenal. And Ari, you said yesterday that you already do that in your talk. So add that part of it. Linda, you just killed it. Personal follow-up. You mentioned that you struggle with giving praise to your employees. Is there anything I can do to help? I mean, that kind of person. Brilliant. Ari, anything else?
No, I'm going to go back after this is over, and then I'm going to listen to this thing again, because there are a lot of good things that were mentioned here, and I need to take notes. So right now I'm focusing, and then I'll go through it again and write down all the great information that I've received here today.
Perfect.
Yeah, just don't overcomplicate it. Just don't overcomplicate it.
I hear. Anybody want to volunteer to come with me to Dallas? It'll be 2,000 people there. I'll let you give out your business cards.
Better pitch if someone's already in Dallas.
True. Has anybody used Fiverr at all?
Mm-hmm.
Is that good? Does it work? Is it?
Can we just put that in the end of the question queue?
Oh,
here,
sorry.
Ari?
Yeah, sure. Sorry.
No, that's okay. That's perfect. I just want to make sure we get through in order here. So Rod, you have a question. I'm heading into a large conference with 2,000 people who could possibly book me on the next week. There'll be very few speakers there who will be asking about speaking. Many of these 2,000 organizations book speakers for their annual drug prevention conference. Any words of wisdom? You asked about this conference a while ago. I can't remember
and now
what
it's
your
here.
question was.
So yeah, I asked about it a while ago, 2 months ago, and now it's here. So it's actually on Sunday I'll be heading out. And you guys told me to not try to get to everybody, pick 10 and work on those 10 and build a relationship throughout the week with those 10. When you see them, say hi, bring them coffee, do something to create a friendship with those 10. So I just wanted to find out if there was any other information, because again, these 2,000 people, they have their own annual conference. This is where everybody comes together. And they definitely, many of them, probably 500 of them, book speakers. And the rate is normally 5,000 because they're nonprofits. But if you can get enough of those, that works too.
And they'll buy your book, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, okay. So I think our advice from before still stands. I
Okay.
wouldn't change that. Maybe you can do more than 10, I think. But certainly if you do your research ahead of time and know which ones book speakers, I think is important. One thing, I don't know if we said this to you last time, but one thing I definitely always recommend before these conferences is trying to set up some meetings ahead of time. So setting up, like there are usually meetups. There are all these little side meetups at conferences that big. I would try and find out who you can have breakfast with, who you can have lunch with, who you can have coffee with, who you can have dinner with, who you can have cocktails with. Hey, are you going to this talk? Okay, I'll catch up with you before the talk. Like, that kind of thing. I would see what you can do. A lot of times the conferences will have like a Facebook group or an event page or something, so you can see who's going and connect with people through that. So I know that seems daunting, and it can sometimes be like, I don't know, a little like, oh, like if you're shy, but that's but it's a really good proactive way. Now, you said your wife works in your business with you, right? Is she going too?
No, she's not going. So this conference is actually paid for by my employer on a contract that I'm on. So I can't be just like, woo, but the contract is ending. And so I just want to, kind of set myself up and meet the right people and such.
Yeah, and then I would just be really clear on what your follow-up strategy is too. So while you're at the conference meeting people, like jot down what you talk to them about, right? Like, because it can be really daunting talking to so many people. And then when you follow up, you've got this more memorable way of following up with them. Not just like, hey, we met at the conference. It was like, hey, we met at the conference. I was the guy in the bow tie, and we talked about X, Y, and Z. I hope your trip to Florida goes great next week. Can we connect when you get back? Like that kind of thing. Like if you just try and pick out a couple key pieces of information. And then another tip that I think would be really valuable for everyone, not sure if we told you this before too, is ask them how and when you can contact them. Be like, hey, do you prefer email or text, or should I just give you a call? Like, what do you prefer? And I find that people are so grateful when you ask them that question. Be like, oh yeah, I hate email. Like, please just text me. Or like, oh, I extended this trip. I'm here for an extra week. Like, I won't be home this week. So, contact me in 2 weeks. That kind of thing, I find makes a big difference. And then actually doing what you say you're going to do is key. But
okay, awesome. Thank you.
Rod, I have some tips for you in huge conferences. The rest of you know, I'm not a speaker. I'm someone who manages speakers. So I meet a lot of speakers. So I get a lot of business cards. I have and now I'm going to give away my trade secret. I have a little folder that has 2 sides. And I put their business card on the side that means I will contact this person, or I never want to see this person again. When I'm talking to people, if I really like them and I think I want to know more about them, I put them on one side. Obviously, I put them on the other side. The people I'm really hot after, I will write something on the back of their card, something memorable. You can reverse that, and the people you really want to speak for, before you hand over your book, which I hope you're going to use as a calling card sometimes, write something in that book that is memorable about your conversation with them. Now they have your book. Maybe they have your picture, offer to take a picture with them. Write something about, let's say you find out they're a tennis player, for instance. Have a great day on the courts. Something so they remember you and you've already started that little bit of a relationship for them. And maybe take a picture of the two of you with your book. So they're gonna, and you can send that to them later. You can text them that in your, it was great to meet you. Here's our photo. Anything you can do to keep your face and name in front of them 2-3 days later after that conference when they're looking through all this information. You got to pop to the top.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Sure.
We're good. Thank you, Lindy. And then you had a second piece of your question. Do I assume that if I have to apply through a website to speak at a conference, that they expect me to speak for free? I don't think that's an assumption. I think sometimes it could be, and sometimes it isn't. But that said, the course, we really don't talk about submitting things through the websites, because all of the strategies we talk about are kind of about bypassing that. Like Lindy's saying, like being memorable, being top of mind, having good follow-up, you know, maybe you've interviewed them or you've been referred or something like that. Those are all going to be much better ways to get booked. Oh, things are moving. Oh, there you are. Those are going to be all much better ways to get booked. So I think if the only way that you're submitting which I know it isn't, but if the way you're submitting is all just through the speaker's not speaker's website, but the call for speakers forms, I think you're going to be just one of many. You're going to have low bargaining power. They won't know your value. You're just really not putting your best foot forward. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Okay, I think our last question is Ari's question about Fiverr. So I mean, quick answer, Ari. Like I think the show of hands, a lot of people had used Fiverr. What are you looking to hire out for?
Oh, probably just somebody to just to take like video testimonials after I speak, get a couple of pictures while I'm speaking, you know, the room, and you know, maybe a short snippet of a video here or there. That's, you know, just so that I don't have to do it. And because you just can't. I mean, I've been to, I've done a lot of these, and it's really, really difficult to take the video on your own phone while you're talking to somebody else. I mean, it just doesn't work. People want to, you got a line of people want to talk to you. You can't be busy with, oh, wait a minute, I just need to get a video testimony. It just doesn't work. So that's what I was kind of looking for.
Because maybe Fiverr does have people like that. I would probably look more for like TaskRabbit or Craigslist or something for your local, like where that local talk is going to be. Fiverr in my mind is more for like design services and web stuff and some writing and stuff like that. So I'd probably look in your local, like if you posted a thing on Craigslist, for example, for the area where the talk is going to be. You could try that, or even ask the event organizer too, like, hey, you have an assistant or someone that I can hire for this, or
right.
That's what I would do. Just Fiverr's awesome for little online tasks generally, but I would think for an in-person one, you're probably looking like, something like that. Yeah, Rod?
Yeah, when you use Fiverr, it's really to, like I use Fiverr for a $35 book cover. Right, so someone who can do design work overseas, that's not going to charge you a lot of money versus paying $400 for a book cover locally. So I would think for what you want though, go to a local university and ask for an intern who's in the motion picture school or theater school or what have you.
I'm gonna real quick. I was at an event. And I wanted to find somebody to do that. And in the hotel, there was this couple, well, I don't know if they were a couple, whatever, and he was taking photos of her. And he was in school, and he was, he was majoring in, I don't know, video production or whatever it was. And I said, hey, listen, tomorrow morning, where are you tomorrow morning? And he goes like, well, I live, 20 minutes away, a half hour. I said, I'll tell you what. I said, I'll give you $50. All right, come here tomorrow. All right, be here at 11 o'clock. And, just to shoot some pictures and just take some videos, whatever, I'll give you, it's a quick $50. And I goes, sure. Guess who didn't show?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, again, it's college kids. They can't really,
Well,
depend
but you
on
also just randomly met the person on the street.
That's
Like,
true.
I mean, I don't
That's
think that's
true.
fair to say all college kids are like that, Ari.
$50. Come tomorrow.
I
Okay.
would not go if someone, I'd be like, yeah, sure, get off my back. Like, creepy person, stop talking to me.
That doesn't exactly translate to college kids will never work for me.
Right.
No,
So what you wanna
especially if
do
you
is
go through the college itself. Sorry, go
All right,
Rob.
quick question.
Exactly.
I have one quick question. We talked about all these online things, or when we're talking about the text the number here, text the number. Is there anybody here or there or whatever that can help me with this? In other words, I'm a novice when it comes to all this technology, whatever. Is there somebody, Steffi, that can help me out to set something like this up?
Well, I mean, we don't set it up for you, but Sam could give you tips. If you just post in the Facebook group, Sam could give you tips on which program to use, for example.
Right. Yeah.
And then I would go somewhere like Fiverr or I don't know why I can't think of the name of what's the other big one?
Upwork?
Upwork. Yes. It used to be called Odesk or something. I don't remember. Anyways, Upwork is another website where you can hire people to do those kinds of projects. So,
okay.
Yeah. Okay, guys, we're going to wrap up a little bit. So because we have a lot of new people on the call, we're going to do something tiny bit different today. Usually on Thursdays, we talk about money-making activities. And so we go around, kind of roundtable, what money-making activities are you guys working on? Since I suspect most of you have not hit that point in the course yet, hopefully you do by next week or the week after at the latest. I'm just going to kind of give you a little rundown, and Michael, please chime in here about what we're looking for with money-making activities, something that you can aspire to in the next couple of weeks. So basically, in the prospecting section, the outreach section of the course, we have all sorts of strategies in there to get leads and clients. So for example, air conversations, we've got referrals, we've got board prospecting in reverse, we have interviews, we have article submissions, we have before, with, after marketing. There are a couple more I'm missing, but those are the kinds of strategies that we recommend that you do. And what we want to hear in the money-making activity is something along the lines of that you did 5 money-making activities a day. So things like I reached out to 4 new people and followed up with 1 old person. I have not just old person, but like 1 person in my database already. I have booked 3 interviews and 2 air conversations. I have I'm having a conversation tomorrow with a potential referral partner. So those are the kinds of things we want to hear in the money-making activity segment. This is the kind of activity you guys should be doing every single day after you get to that part in the course. Anything you want to add to that, Michael?
No, just it's so important.
So numbers, key numbers. You always want to tell us your numbers, right? I did 3 of this, 4 of this, 10 of this. And being specific too, not just I did 5 outreaches today. I want to hear what strategy you're using. If you're comfortable sharing what companies they were with and that sort of thing. It's really important that you guys have this tracked on the back end so that like you can just list it off for us. That's going to be the huge difference between those who succeed and those who finish this course still wondering what the heck is going on.
Okay.
Anyways, well, there you go. Mic drop? I don't know.
Can I just ask one more question? At this event that I'm going to, besides the audience, the 2,200 people in the audience, they're going to have like a whole business expo type thing where they're going to have 300 vendors. Is there anything I should or could be doing on that side?
Well, I think it's a very similar answer to Rod's, right? Because he's, I think, Rod, that's kind of similar to what is going to be happening at your event, right? So all of these strategies we've just been talking about, I would say I would use those.
All right, then I'll just go, like I said, I'll go through this again later.
Yeah, and the stuff Lindy said, all of that will be really helpful for you.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate everybody's input and advice.
You're welcome. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. I am not here next week, so you will have Michael and Sarah on all of your calls with Morgan as per usual. So remember, Sarah's a copywriter. Ask your copywriting questions next week if you have them. Have a good day. Have a good day.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
See you next week.